In this lecture, I'm going to talk about derived distribution. So now let's change gear and move to the new subject, which is the topic of finding the derived distribution of a function of a random variable. We call those distributions derived distributions because we are given the distribution of x. So let me write down here distribution of x. It is a given random variable and we are interested in a function of x. So let me call this as another random variable, capital Y. So we want to derive the distribution of that function, okay, g of x, based on the distribution that we already know. So it could be a function of just one random variable, okay. It could be a just function of one random variable, or it could be a function of several random variables. So one random variable means function of one random variable means, let's say y is equal to g of x. When I say several random variable, let me write like this: g of x and y, or more than two several random variables. So one example that we are going to solve is this one. You have two random variables, one is x and another one is y, and somebody tells you their distribution. For example, let's say uniform in this square, this is a square, uniform in this square. For some reason you are interested in the ratio of these two random variables, let's say x and y. In the x-axis we have the random variable x, in the y-axis you have the random variable y, and you want to find the ratio of x and y, and you want to find the distribution of this ratio x and y. So you can think of lots of cases where your random variable of interest is created by taking some other random variables and taking function of them, and so it is legitimate to care about the distribution of that random variable. Now let us go to the definition. What is a derived distribution? It is a probability mass function or probability density function of a function of one or more random variables with a known probability law. So example, there is a unit square and the x-axis is given here and y-axis given. So this is a y random variable and this is a x random variable. Let's say this point is 1 and this is also 1. So this is the unit square. Unit square. So the density is written as fxy of x comma y. Okay, so we need to obtain the PDF of PDF for g of x comma y. So g of x comma y, let's say I need to find g of y given x. So it involves deriving a distribution. Now this g of x comma y is a random variable, so please note down this. It's a random variable. Okay, a caveat, however, there is an important case where you don't need to find the distribution of that random variable. Okay, so caveat. So there are certain situations where we don't need to find the distribution of that function of a random variable. So when do we not to find them? Don't need a PDF or PMF for g of x comma y if only want to compute expected value. So when you want to calculate the expected value of a function of a given random variable, then no need to find the distribution. Directly you can calculate the expected value as follows. So x and y are given. From this you are going to get the function of those two random variables and for this you want to find the expected value. So how do you find the expected value? Straight away you can calculate the expected value from the original random variables distribution. So expected value of g of x comma y, which is equal to double integral of your g of x comma y times the joint density function of x and y times dx and dy. So in this way you can calculate. So if all you care about is the expected value of this function g of x comma y, okay, of the random x comma y, you can work directly with the distribution of the original random variable without ever having to find the PDF of g. So whenever you want to find the expected value, then don't calculate the distribution function of g of x comma y. Straight away you can calculate from the distribution of the original random variable. Okay, so you don't do unnecessary work if it is not needed, but if it is needed or if you are asked to do it, then just do it. Okay, now let us jump on to how to calculate the distribution of a function. So how do we find the distribution of a function? Let us take no discrete case as a warm up. Let us look at the discrete case. Suppose that x is a discrete random variable. DRV means discrete random variable, and takes certain values. So that values, let's say certain values small x, certain values. Okay, now we have a function g that maps x's into y's. Okay, so this is my function, I defined in that way. So how to find the distribution of g of xy? How to find g of x in this case? So obtain probability mass for each possible value of y equal to g of x. So obtain probability mass for each possible value of y is equal to g of x. Okay, that means what we want is we want the probability mass function of y, which is probability mass function of this event, because this is y, no, this y takes this value g of x equal to y. So this is what we want. Therefore this I can write as py of y, and let me explain this mathematical notations. Summation over x for all x such that g of x is equal to y, and here there is a dense mass function px of x. Okay, so let me insert a figure for this. Draw, insert pictures. Done. So this is my picture to find the probability mass function. Let me take this is x, this variable is x, and this is y. These are my set of points. Okay, let's say this is x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6 and x7. Here similarly y1, y2, y3, y4, y5, y6, y7. So I have the relation like this, and we want to find the probability mass function for y, probability mass function for the random variable y. For example, So for example, if I'm interested in finding the probability that y takes, let's say, this particular value, okay, how would I find it? So well, I ask what are the different ways that this y7 value can happen. And the different ways that y7 can happen is either if x5, either capital X takes this value x5 or it takes x7. Okay, so we identify this event, this x5 and x7, these two events gives rise to the event y7. Okay, so therefore x5 and x7 are in the x space and y7 is in the y space. So these two events are identical, this event and this event both are identical. Okay, x falls in this set, let me call x5 and x7 set A, and y7 let me call set B. If the random variable x falls in the set A, if and only if the random variable y falls in the set B, therefore the probability of y falling in the set B is the probability of x falling in the set A. The probability of x falling in the set A is just the sum of the individual probabilities. So P of x5 plus P of x7. Okay, so we just add the probabilities. Therefore, you add these probabilities Px of x of the x's where x5 and x7 in the set A. So we just add the probabilities of different x's. What are the different x's here? x5 and x7, where the summation is taken over all x's that leads to that particular value of y. What is the particular value of y here? y7. Okay, P of y7. Okay, so therefore the formula comes as Py of that particular value y is given by you sum over all x's, and those x's will lead to the particular value y, the small y. Therefore Px of x and set of all x such that g of x equal to y. So this is a formula that we will use to calculate the discrete probability mass function, derived mass function. So that's all there is in the discrete case. It is a very nice and simple. So let's transfer these methods to the continuous case. Okay, discrete case no problem, but let us move on to continuous case. How we go about it? Okay, suppose we are in the continuous case. Suppose x and y now can take the values anywhere. So here x and y are continuous values. Therefore it can take any values in the range, anywhere. So and I try to use the same method, and I ask what is the probability that y is going to take this value. Let's say this y7. Maybe I'll use the same picture again one more time so that it will not give any confusion. Insert picture, same picture. Let me insert. Done. Okay, now let me ask, this is my y7 point, and this is x7, x6, x5. So these are the points. Now let us ask or let us try to understand that what is the probability that y is going to be take this value, this 7. What is the probability of P of y7? We are talking in the continuous case now. It is not in the discrete case. We are talking about continuous case. At least know if the diagram is this way, like in this way, you would say this is the same as the probability that x takes this value, and this, or I'm sorry, wait a minute. So let me ask in the following way. Let me erase this. So Let me say this is y6. Now the question is, what is the probability that capital Y, random variable capital Y, is going to take this value y6? So how do you find this probability? At least in this diagram, okay, so you would say this P of y6 is the same as P of x6, because there is only one event that gives rise to this event. There is only one, there is no other event. So I can find the probability of y being this value y6, okay, this probability, in terms of the probability of x being that. So probability of y being y6 is the same as the probability of x being x6. Both are same. Okay, now one can ask, is this useful in the continuous case? It is not, because in the continuous case any single value has zero probability, because I consider only a single value. y6 indicates a single value. So for a single value, the probability is 0 in the continuous case. So what you are going to get out of this argument is that the probability that y takes the value y6, or the probability that x takes the value x6 is 0. Okay. Therefore, the probability that y takes y6 is 0 and is equal to the probability that x takes the value x6 is also 0. Therefore, that does not help. So whenever you consider a discrete point in the continuous case, then that will not help us. So therefore, we need to do something. So we want to do something more. So what can be done? So we want to actually find perhaps the density function, density of y, as opposed to the probabilities of individual y's. So in the discrete case, we talked about probability mass function. In the continuous random variable case, we talked about probability density function. Therefore, as opposed to PMF, we need to talk PDF, density function. So instead of talking about individual y's, we need to find out the density of y. So you might argue as follows. So instead of taking a single point, I am going to look at an interval for y. So let me take, this is my interval. Let's say this is my small interval. Okay. And this is the interval in y. Let me call this is interval I1. Some other interval, let me call this interval, let's say I2 in the, this is I2, interval 2. Okay. So I am looking at an interval for y here, and I ask, what is the probability of falling in this interval? What is the probability of falling in that interval? And you go back and find the corresponding set of x's. This one is a corresponding set of x's. Corresponding set of x's that lead to those y's. Okay. Those y's, and equate these two probabilities. The probability of those y's collectively should be equal to the probability of all the x's here that map into that interval collectively. And this way you can relate the two. As far as the mechanics go, in many cases it is easier. Do not work with the little intervals. See, this is a little interval. So do not work with the little intervals. So instead of that, you work with the cumulative distribution function. Let's say, these intervals. You start from 0 and go to some value, let's say y here. Maybe I'll use some other color. You y here. You go to this interval. You take a little bigger intervals. So you work with bigger intervals, and for this bigger interval, find the cumulative distribution function. Okay, that is to work with a sort of bigger intervals. This is the bigger interval. So instead of working with like a smaller interval or small interval, you work with the bigger intervals. So you can, instead of working with a small interval, you can work with a bigger interval so that it is easy. So let us look at this interval. Let me call this is I3. Okay, and this is set of y's that are smaller than a certain value. So how do you express this mathematically? This is written mathematically as p of capital Y is less than or equal to small y. So this is the y upper bound. This is the upper bound. So all values are less than that y. So the certain value is y. Certain value y. The probability of this set p of y, capital Y is less than or equal to small y, is given by cumulative distribution of the random variable y. So what is this p of y less than or equal to small y, capital Y less than or equal to y? This is by definition CDF of the random variable capital Y. Okay, now this set of y's, this I3, gets produced by some corresponding set of x's. Let me say these are my corresponding set of x's, I4. So in the interval I4, I have some corresponding set of x's, and this x's rise to this probability, this set. So maybe these are the x's, that map into y's. These are my y's. And then we argue as follows: the probability that y falls in this interval I3 is the same as the probability that x falls in this interval I4. So the event y falling here in I3, and the event x falling there in I4 are the same. Therefore I4, this is my event, and I3, this is another event. So the probability of the I4 event is the same as the probability of the I3 event. So their probabilities must be equal, and then I do the calculations at I4, and I end up getting a cumulative distribution function of y, capital Y. So once I have the cumulative distribution function, I can get the density function by just differentiating. So once you have the CDF, differentiate, what will you get? You will get probability density function. So CDF to PDF is obtained by differentiation. So this is a general cookbook procedure. Okay, so that we will be using to calculate derived distributions. So we are interested in a random variable y, which is a function of the x's. We will aim at obtaining the cumulative distribution of y, capital Y. So the procedure is given below. So this is for continuous case. There is a two-step procedure. The first step is get cumulative distribution function of y. So that how do you denote? It is denoted by capital F suffix capital Y of small y, which is equal to probability of capital Y less than or equal to small y. Then what is the second step? Differentiate. To get a CDF, to get a PDF. So the PDF is denoted by small f suffix capital, this is y, right? Y of small y, which is d by dy of fy of small y. So this is the two-step procedure. So this is called a cookbook procedure. So whenever you are involved in the business of derived distributions for continuous random variable, follow these two-step procedures. Okay, the first one is get the CDF of the random variable y, and then differentiate to get the probability density function of y. Okay, therefore we will aim at obtaining the cumulative distribution of y, somehow manage to calculate the probability of this event. Okay, somehow manage to calculate the probability of this event. Once we get it, and what do I mean by get it? When I say, get this one, what do I mean by get it is, you are not going to find for single value. Okay, so I don't mean getting it for a single value of little y. Instead of that, you need to get this function. You need to get this function or this event. Okay, for the entire range cumulative distribution function. Okay, once you get it in that form, in this form, then your job is very easy. Okay, then you can calculate its derivative. So you find the derivative of this. Once you take the derivative at any particular point, then it is going to give you the density of capital Y, that is random variable y. So it is a simple two-step procedure. So generally, this procedure is called a cookbook procedure. Okay, so the devil is in the details of how you carry out the mechanics. Okay, so in the next lecture we will work out some problems based on this. Okay, so let me stop at this point. Thank you very much.